Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, this is BestInSlot and welcome to the next feature focus for Jurassic World Evolution 2. Tonight we're going to be discussing the upcoming Sandbox Mode and the upcoming Challenge Mode and how those have changed in Evolution 2 compared to Evolution 1. There really isn't much here in terms of brand spanking new information, there's nothing here in terms of new screenshots. It's a pretty low-key feature focus if I'm totally honest, but hey, there's some interesting stuff here and we get to learn how these systems work, so let's get started. So we're just going to go through it bit by bit and discuss it as we do. Hello park managers, that needs a hat. We are very excited to bring you another Jurassic World Evolution 2 feature focus. In our last one we talked about how you can put a unique touch on guest buildings, parks and dinosaurs through the game's enhanced customization options. This week we're taking a look at the non-narrative game modes you can find in Jurassic World Evolution 2, and showing you what you can expect in Challenge Mode and Sandbox Mode. Of course, the Campaign and Chaos Theory mode would both count as narrative game modes rather than non-narrative. So let's hear all about, first of all, Challenge Mode. Much like the original Jurassic World Evolution game, you'll be able to put yourself to the test in Jurassic World Evolution 2 with Challenge Mode. Although this time around we'll be taking it up a notch with some exciting new additions. Don't worry, we're sure you're up for the challenge. I'm not, I'm feeble and weak. All missions in Challenge Mode will offer 4 difficulty levels, easy, medium, hard and Jurassic, just like Jurassic World Evolution, with their own par times. I'm going to get this out of the way nice and early right now, folks, because people still, I've seen people this very week get confused by this on Challenge Mode. You do not need to hit the par time to get the reward from Challenge Mode. It is literally there as a guide to say this is a good target, this is the average speed to complete the level. If you want to take 20 hours, you can take 20 hours, which will be unlocked by progression, so you'll need to unlock a certain number of stars on any given difficulty before you can proceed to the next level. So Challenge Mode in Jurassic World Evolution 1, you could hop in, play easy, medium, hard or Jurassic right off the bat. You could just pick the one that you wanted. It seems now that Challenge Mode has been structured a little bit more like the campaign, so you have to get, say, let's say 3 stars on each level to progress onto the next one. So you have to play easy mode on every map, you have to play medium mode on every map, you have to play hard mode on every map until you can finally play Jurassic. I will say this was the first thing I read that made me a little bit hesitant. I never played on easy, medium or hard, quite frankly, back in the old game. I didn't really see the point, because if you completed it on Jurassic, you unlocked everything anyway. Those worries do get sorted out a little bit in just a moment though, so let's carry on reading. But that was the first, I was a little bit, I don't really want to do this for every single level, but we'll see. We'll also be introducing a new feature in Challenge Mode, Conditions. These will place constraints on your game to make each playthrough slightly more challenging, and will differ depending on which difficulty you're playing. For instance, if you're playing an easy level on Challenge Mode, you may be limited to 25 species in your park, whereas if you're playing a medium level, you may have a limit of 15 species. Little hesitant on this as well, not gonna lie. I think there's something they've missed here a little bit, and that is, people are popping off on Discord about this, blah blah blah, but some people did treat Challenge Mode as kind of like a little standalone progression. You stick it on easy and it's kind of like you're playing Jurassic Park Operation Genesis. You can unlock all the dinosaurs bit by bit, you can grow your single park. It's an experience you can't get elsewhere in the game really. Even Sandbox Mode doesn't have, even if you've got money and stuff in Sandbox Mode, which we do, you don't have the dinosaur progression systems. So whilst I understand these conditions, I think on the easiest difficulty they shouldn't be there. Or you should have the capability to replay the map without said conditions once you've completed it once, basically. I think just making sure people have that option to play a unleashed version of the game where you still get to progress and complete everything on one map and unlock dinosaurs over time is a good thing, and I don't think that should be taken away from people. We don't know totally how this feature is going to work though, so it's just a little thought at the moment really. I do like the idea though. I'm hoping what they've done is come up with specific dinosaurs that are accessible on specific maps. Those of you who played Jurassic Mode in Jurassic World Evolution, especially before Return to Jurassic Park came out, you'll know that if you were aiming for a really good time on Jurassic, you basically built the same build every single time, and that was predominantly big exhibits with Diplodocus and Dilophosaurus. Limiting dinosaur choices is actually a good thing. It makes you more creative in a way, because you have to think outside of your pre-established boxes. Now this is the interesting bit. Each level is a bespoke challenge with different tasks you'll need to complete. The conditions, maps and what you have available to achieve is different for each level, and it's up to you to decide how to achieve a 5-star rating. So what I'm taking from this, and what I really like about this, is it doesn't sound like basically all challenge mode maps played out exactly the same. Every single challenge mode map was identical. All you were trying to do was make a 5-star park. You had more limitations on Jurassic just because you had less money, but other than that, you were just trying to make a 5-star park. That was it. It sounds now instead that each map and each difficulty level on those maps is going to have certain targets you have to hit instead in order to get that 5-star rating. You can imagine, you've got a list of 5 things you need to hit, and each one is worth a star, for example, and you do all 5, and that gives you your 5-star park. That could be have a certain number of species, have a certain number of guests, a certain number of income, stuff that you would aim for anyway, generally speaking, but realised more into tasks. It could be breed a 100% version of a specific high-level, hard-to-acquire dinosaur. We know that the contract system is returning in this game. I believe that's been mentioned already, but we don't believe the divisions are. Now, the divisions and those contracts were kind of what you focused on a lot in challenge mode in the old game, so maybe this is a way of replacing that, essentially. It's an interesting idea, and I like the idea. I'm hoping that they are interesting and varied enough, even if it is just, collect certain dinosaurs, 100% certain dinosaurs, get certain gene combinations, stuff like that. Little things to aim for other than just maxing a park out, which can get very samey. These challenge mode missions will have both a global location and a context that will make them really fun to play. Again, this is really cool. They're not tied into the game's main narrative, so each can be played in isolation. Plus, you'll earn unique species cosmetic unlocks for earning 5 stars across the different difficulties. Lots of reasons to take up the challenge. Okay, so 2 things I really want to talk about here. The first is global location. Now, as far as we're aware, Jurassic World Evolution 2 is primarily going to take place in North America. Now, that kind of makes sense. It's a narrative. They're having to structure it as a solid narrative that leads from place to place, so it kind of makes more sense to stay on the same continent. As already established, challenge mode does not have the same narrative restrictions that the campaign would have. So whereas here, maybe we're in Alaska or something here, God only knows, this could be Russia or something in the challenge mode. We can go anywhere else around the planet because we're not hamstrung by narrative responsibility. And it sounds like they'll have a little context as well. That's really interesting. So, maybe we'll be working for different companies, establishing bases around the world and starting their own dinosaur production facilities. Maybe there'll be little changes to the map or existing dinosaurs, all depending on little stories they can write for each of these challenge modes. It's a really interesting concept. It makes the idea of... So I complained about this earlier, but with the slight hesitance that we're going to explain it later on, the idea of playing through each level of the challenge mode sounds a little restrictive, sure, but if they are truly unique and they're taking us all around the globe and they're telling little stories all of their own, that makes it sound a lot more exciting. It then says you'll earn unique species cosmetic unlocks for earning 5 stars across the difficulties. Now, given that we do have to play through all 3 just to unlock Jurassic, I'm hoping that means there is a cosmetic tied to every single difficulty on every single map. Otherwise, I still think easy and normal would feel a little bit bleh, And the thing is, okay, that means a lot of skins would be tied behind challenge mode. Although, I don't know how many maps we'd get at the start, but the point is that more skins than usual would be tied behind challenge mode. But given we have like 12 base colours and then 7 patterns and then 12 colours for those patterns, we've got a lot more variety, the skins are much more expanded. One extra skin is much less a big deal than it was in the original Jurassic World Evolution. This might give you one more option out of 900 or something, or one more option out of 70, for example, whereas in the past game it was one more option out of 5. It's a very different system they're playing with. If they can find a way to account for people who want to play a progression system game without being hamstrung by dinosaur limitations, if they can find a way to do that, or integrate a progression system like that into Sandbox, as in where you unlock dinosaurs throughout the star rankings, then I think this sounds like a massive, improvement. It sounds really interesting. I only ever did challenge mode because I needed the skins. That was the only reason. If they can make me interested outside of that, that's a big improvement as far as I'm concerned. So I'm actually quite excited about this one. We're going to talk a little bit about Sandbox. This is basically more of the same from the first game. This wouldn't be Jurassic World Evolution 2 if we didn't bring back another exciting mode from the first game. Let us reintroduce you to Sandbox Mode. This game mode features an open-ended gameplay experience where you'll be able to create your perfect park, making the most of a variety of making the most of a variety of options to tailor the mode to you. Sandbox Mode will offer up a range of options that will allow you to alter the gameplay for your park, allowing you to customize various aspects of how you play the game. Some of these options include granting your park infinite money, allowing you to forego profitability concerns. That's what I mean, so you can play it like a normal park if you wanted, other than dinosaur progression, hint hint. Adjusting weather options, that'd be cool because we know they're expanded, and of course the time of day, and even altering dinosaur reptile behaviour and lifespan so you can play at entirely your own pace. Now that seems like a little throwaway, but and reptile of course referring to our aviary species, our aquatic species. We already knew they would have advanced behaviour, they've already said that they are basically on even keel with the dinosaurs, but it's nice that they've been thrown in there. You know, we will have options to control the behaviour of our aquatics. That definitely confirms even further that they aren't, you know, they're not rolling around on a loop, for example. They are real, actual creatures, which is cool. By using the new territory system to its full potential, you could even build a nature reserve style park. Keep in mind, not having fences will put any visiting guests in danger, shockingly enough. But this is a good point, and this is something I mentioned in one of my older videos, in that because in the past, your dinosaurs were hamstrung by social and population limits, like general species population limits, and it didn't matter how big the enclosure was. It could be a tiny little cube, it could take an entire park, but if you had more than 8 dinosaurs, your Ankylosaurus was gonna throw a fit. That might be the wrong number, but it's around there. And that was very silly. That is no longer a concern with the territory system. Those population limits are gone. It is simply a case now of having an area big enough that your dinosaurs can exist without their populations overlapping too much to be happy and killing each other, basically. So if you have a park-sized park, you could chuck hundreds of herbivores in there, in theory, as long as it's big enough, and they'd be totally okay, as long as you've got all the required items and territories laid out. And if they kill your guests, they kill your guests, who cares? Maps from Chaos Theory and Challenge Mode will be playable in Sandbox Mode, offering up lots of variety to your park building experience. Just remember, Sandbox Mode content needs to be unlocked by researching it in other modes, so your Sandbox parks will be constantly evolving with your gameplay. We start you off with some basic stuff, but the rest will need to be unlocked for user access. Whether you're happy about that or not will be a very personal slant on it. Personally, I like unlocking things throughout the game. I feel the game would lose a lot of luster if when you first booted it up, you could just hop into Sandbox Mode and release every single dinosaur. Usually I am 100% for player agency and player control and creativity as much as possible. I do think it makes more sense to unlock things throughout the campaign and to increase your dinosaur capabilities and knowledge over time rather than having everything thrown at you just at once. And people like unlocking things. Unlocking things is fun. That's why like all popular games are reliant on it basically. People love leveling up and stuff like that. The interesting thing here, I want to point this out again. Maps from Chaos Theory and Challenge Mode will be playable in Sandbox and assumedly from the campaign as well. Oh no, maybe not. But Chaos Theory, we're assuming, takes us back to Isla Nublar and Isla Sorna probably, and to various other locations from the films. But it says Challenge Mode is playable in Sandbox Mode as well, again reiterating the idea that unlike the last game where you did Challenge Mode on Isla Sorna, Isla Nublar, Isla Penna, etc., this time it will have its own complete set of maps to play on. So we'll have our Sandbox Mode in Russia, for example, in the Alpine of Russia. That'd be really cool. Not the most exciting feature focus. This isn't the stuff people are clamming to hear. Is that a term? Clamoring is probably what I was going for. If you want to go clamming, you can do that as well. I'm sure, people, there's other things people are prioritizing. But I will say, we don't know much different about Sandbox, sounds exactly the same essentially. But Challenge Mode, I really like the sound that it changes. When I first read it through, I was a little bit hesitant, but the more I thought about it and talked about it out loud to you guys, the more I think, you know what? That could turn what was a chore sometimes into a really exciting mode. Excited to see how they pull it off. Hopefully there is a little bit of personality in each map and each difficulty. We'll have to wait and see. But that is it for today. Reminder that on Friday we'll have the recap stream. That's basically going to go back over everything we learned over this past month. You shouldn't be expecting a lot of new information there. It is a recap, but they have said they're going to talk about and reveal something new and small. Emphasis on small. I think it might be a Compsognathus or something, honestly. Like, small is a hint. I'm just saying. I think it's a hint. Anyways. Come back on Friday for that. That's 3 PM BST, and we're going to be streaming that right here on the channel. And we'll probably be back tomorrow, although I might sleep. We'll see. Either way, thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you lovely folks next time. Cheers much love as always. Throw me a like down below. Bye-bye.
Reaching out.